12 tornadoes have been confirmed by the National Weather Service for that big night. That was Wednesday night, April 2nd. So far, it's been our busiest day of the year, of a very busy year. We are already at 31 tornadoes for the state as of wrapping up April 2nd. Now, as of April 2nd, there could be an additional confirmation or two from the National Weather Service. They got to get the heavy rain from that weekend out of the way. But 31 tornadoes, fastest start, at least since 2011. On average, we should get 20 to 30 tornadoes for the entire year. Not just the spring tornado season, but we kind of had that secondary season in the fall. So we're already past the whole average for the entire year. It's been busy. We wanted to take a moment and walk through the tornadoes that were confirmed for April 2nd, and then we'll take a closer look at all the tornadoes that we had statewide for the year so far. You can kind of see a trend, though, where we had one particular storm that was a really big troublemaker for us. It started in Illinois. In fact, they had a long track tornado over 44 miles of parts of south central Illinois. And then we had two tornadoes there coming in the Terre Haute area. And then a wind spike took place in Hendricks County, causing an EF2 tornado in Brownsburg. And we had another recycling of the rotation from that storm, dropped down a tornado in Carmel. Then Madison County and Delaware County, we had tornadoes. And then we had twin tornadoes towards far northeastern Indiana. So let's take a closer look at this individual path. We're going to just kind of go each one real quick, but then we're going to dive in on some of these ones for central Indiana and show you some landmarks, show you where they touched down, what they hit, and where they picked back up. This is a look at those two tornadoes. This is actually an extension of a tornado that was in Illinois. It was an EF2 in Illinois, but went down to EF1 status there for Vigo County. Here's Terre Haute. Everything was north and west of the city. Here's the Wabash. So the tornado picked up over the Wabash and dropped back down there towards Clinton and Rosedale. Then it was fully into Park County. And then we had the big Brownsburg tornado, EF2. In fact, it started there towards Tilden. So we're south and west of downtown Brownsburg, went right through downtown. They're past Green Street, Main Street right there. Public libraries close by. We had the damage at the warehouse district. They're right around Northfield Drive as well. We had some of the subdivisions along Raceway Road and Eagle Creek. In fact, it was the first tornado to cross over Eagle Creek since the 1970s. Then we get to Hamilton County, storm recycled. It wasn't all one tornado from Brownsburg to Carmel. It picked back up and then dropped back down just by Meridian Street, US 31, and went just south of the Arts District, just south of the Palladium, and then went towards the river there outside of Noblesville. And then the storm got a little bit tough to see for a second, but all of a sudden we had two circulations, one producing an EF2 on the south side of Lapel, the Bulldogs, and then another one on the north side of Lapel. That was a longer track one, weaker but longer track, went through Hamilton, and then you can see Anderson here to the south. So this stayed out of Anderson, but boy, it was sure close. And then it recycled it again and dropped down an even stronger and longer track tornado. This was Delaware County. Now, technically, the county line right here, Madison County, Delaware County. So technically a two-county tornado. But really, the heart of Delaware County got hit, staying just west of Camac. Here's Ball State, Muncie, right through the Bethel and Anthony area. And then it finally dissipated a little bit farther to the north of Muncie. It was a very active night. 12 tornadoes confirmed. Now, as promised, I wanted to take a closer look at some of the ones that hit in central Indiana. We're going to start in Brownsburg. These maps are really highly detailed, so we're going to take a second to go through these. The yellow line shows you the path of that EF2 tornado. Started at 9:09, ended there about 9:21. So it was on the ground 12 minutes, if I did the math really quickly. It was just over 9 miles, and the top wind speed was 120 miles per hour. Now, every damage location was EF2 damage, but we had EF2 damage there at Sur La Table. That's the warehouse for Sur La Table. That's at Northfield Drive. Northfield Drive has had several closures throughout the week because of all the damage from the warehouses there. But it technically started right, south and west of downtown Brownsburg, came into downtown Brownsburg. A lot of EF1 damage around downtown. You've got the Flapjacks, which is just south. High school is a little bit farther south, so it wasn't at the high school. But then you have the public library, which was just south of the path. You can also see City Hall. So right there, downtown Brownsburg, it came on through. And then here's US 136, so it crossed US 136. The interstate is right here, so eventually crossed the interstate after it passed over Sur La Table and went between the Ortho Indy and the Hendricks Regional Hospital. There's where they're extending Ronald Reagan right now. It came right over there, hit that famous farm They got the star up for Christmas. The silos, I believe, are okay, but one of the buildings on the property, I think the barn, collapsed. And then it came through some of these subdivisions. A lot of houses here along Raceway Road, which kind of cuts off Brownsburg School District versus some of the Indianapolis school districts. And Eagle Creek is right here, went right over the golf club there in Eagle Creek, went over the reservoir, and then even crossed I-65 before picking up and hitting 465, kind of where 65 and 465 get really close together. It picked back up. One injury from this storm, and then also from this storm, it gets complicated, but an indirect weather fatality from the wind spike in Danville. Essentially, the wind surge in Danville helped create this tornado in Brownsburg downstream, but I believe it was a 20-something-year-old man died there by some of these power lines that were down. But this wind spike created it, kind of like if you're sitting in your bathtub and you got it full of water, you take your hand and you just brush the water, right? You'll get those kind of little whirlpools on the side. Same thing in the atmosphere. You had the wind spike push through Danville, and then on the north side, we had this little rotation, and it ended up being a pretty big rotation, creating that tornado in Brownsburg. And it was that rotation, it's almost like a top. It just kept spinning and spinning, and at times it'll wobble and it'll go away, but then it just kept spinning. This is Hamilton County. Dropped again another tornado after it passed Meridian Street, US 31 there. You've got the water park, which is just south, but it came right next to the Carmel Ice Stadium, and we're so close to where the Chris Kindle Market is there, next to the Palladium. You've got Carmel High School. Carmel High School is farther to the north, but it was right just 2 blocks south of the Palladium. You've got a couple businesses and warehouses just south, and the Arts District is right here, so it came really close there. Continued to track there, right over Keystone Parkway. Got a lot of houses in here. We got a lot of damage on some of these houses. Here's Clay Middle School. We tried to put a couple schools that were close, and then we also just put landmarks to kind of give you a rough idea on some of the bigger ones in Carmel and some of these other maps, but then we tried to do some that were pretty close. Here's Connor Prairie. We're really close. Here's the White River. It picked up before crossing the White River. We were concerned there for a second because we've got a lot of businesses there coming out of Noblesville, going into Fishers, like the Costco. The Costco's about here, so that was getting pretty close to some of these businesses, but it picked up before the White River, picked up before Connor Prairie. Then we continue forward, same circulation. It was kind of being interfered with and it was evolving, but essentially it was the same circulation. 9:43, we touched down an EF2 tornado there right at State Road 13. Here's Lapel, home of the Bulldogs. The high school is here on the north side. The high school is okay, and the town was okay, but some of these homes here that are just on the outskirts of Lapel had that EF2 damage. It was on the ground for just over 2 miles, a top speed, 125 miles per hour. No injuries or fatalities with this one, but this one definitely did some damage to these homes, these homesteads just outside of the Lapel area. And then also through Lapel, you know, we had this tornado, but where there was a lot of wind with these storms. I mean, we had 80-mile-per-hour gusts with some of these. So there's still some damage throughout the city of Lapel, but the tornado damage specifically was there just south and east of the town. And then what was interesting, on the other side of State Road 32, we had an EF1 tornado touchdown. So you can see the remnants of the EF2 Lapel tornado, but then at the same time it was ending, another tornado was forming. So you kind of had a circulation, which caused another circulation with some of these storms interacting with one another. It gets a little complicated, but here's that EF1 tornado. It crossed the White River there. It crossed also at West 8th Street Road. That comes in and out of Anderson. If you guys know kind of where the Edgewood Elementary School is, it was pretty close to there. But it stayed outside of really the heart of Anderson. Otherwise, we would have had a lot more damage, but a lot of these homesteads have some damage there in Madison County. Madison County had travel advisories for days because of this. We think it picked up right before crossing State Road 9, coming out of Linwood. And then here's the community hospital there on the north side of Anderson, kind of close to that. The high school for Anderson is way farther south, so the high school's fine, but Anderson missed out on this one, thank goodness. This was just to our north and west, just barely, by hop, skip, and a jump. And then the same circulation again produced an EF2 tornado for Delaware County. This one was a long track one. This was just over 15 miles and a top speed of 125 miles per hour. So this one and the Lapel tornadoes had some of the highest wind speeds. But technically it started in Madison County and then crossed right over the Delaware County line and then crossed over 69. 69 kind of hugs the county line there for a while. Very close to where West McGalliard Road meets there at I-69. plowed on through. And then we've got a couple other schools here that are outside of Muncie. You've got, let's see, you've got Westdale and you got Delta. Kind of went in between. But we did have some, believe, tornado damage. There could have been a quick spiral outside the tornado. They got real close. See this triangle here? There was an EF1 damage for a second. So sometimes these tornadoes, you got the parent tornado, but you can get a quick vortice to form on the outside. And so that's possibly what happened just outside there of Westdale High School. Here's Anthony. Here's the heart of Muncie. You got Ball State. So the heart of Muncie was spared on this one, but boy, it was another close one, crossing there past Anthony and picking up before it got right to State Road 9. Had some wind damage in Eaton, but the tornado, we believe, did pick back up. No injuries, no fatalities. So it was a very busy night. We had a lot of warnings that were issued all across the state. In fact, I've got a number here off to the side that I want to get to because we were counting all the tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings that we have had for this year, and the numbers are pretty staggering there. But we've had 31 tornadoes across the entire state, and you can see the whole map here. I mean, look at all the different colors. You've got the yellow showing you the EF2s, and then the green showing you the EF1s, EF0s, and blue. I believe it's over 80 tornado warnings, over 200 severe thunderstorm warnings. It has been an active start, and peak tornado season isn't until about mid-April. April and June are some of our highest tornado months. April's kind of are right there too. So April, May, June. So right there in kind of mid-April is when we have our peak, and we're not even there yet. We haven't even gotten to halfway through April, and this is what we've got so far. So we'll continue to give you updates throughout the year. But this was kind of one storm itself. We've had a lot of activity there around Bartholomew County and Monroe County and into Lawrence County. We had that long track EF2 that was north of Evansville, kind of near Oakland City, and track there. Across the river there too. Terre Haute's been busy, and then look at Lake County. A lot of little tornadoes. My goodness, but Lake County's been busy. And then northern Indiana. Everett's has had a really kind of a tornado so far, except kind of the Lafayette area. We've been spared so far. And then far eastern Indiana, we've been spared from tornado damage, but we've had wind damage. So busy year. We'll see how it turns out. But the recap as of finishing through April 2nd, 31 tornadoes. Remember, the average is 20 to 30. So not a start that we want to see. The last time we had a start like this was 2011, and we had 72 tornadoes, I believe, that year, give or take maybe one or two, but I believe about 72. So we'll see what happens this year, but as always, we'll track every storm that comes on through. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we will keep you advised.